Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. On a few lighter subjects to cover, and then I'll take your questions. As you all probably saw earlier this morning, First Lady Melania Trump announced the initial details for the 140th White House Easter egg roll. The event will take place Monday, April 2nd on the South Lawn. Families with children 13 years old and younger are invited to join the President, First Lady, White House staff, and their families for a day of festivities. Tickets are free to the public and can be requested through an online system, opening this Friday, February 9th, and closing Thursday, February 15th. As in the past years, the White House will also select volunteers for the egg roll through an online application. People can submit their names through whitehouse.gov. The deadline for applying is February 23rd. Over the last year, I've occasionally taken the opportunity to share some letters to the President written by people from all over the country, from Pickle to Frank the lawnmower. I've especially enjoyed introducing you all to some hardworking young Americans with incredibly bright futures. Today, I have another letter to share, this one from Natalie Elder Dalton from Clarksburg, Maryland. She writes, "Dear Mr. President, I'm Natalie, and I'm 11 years old, almost 12. My cousin Celia, who is 8 years old, and have loved to cook since we practically were born. If you don't believe me, check out the pictures we've enclosed. We are more than cousins, we are best friends. From the time we were very little, we've helped our Nona in the kitchen. Therefore, we are very good cooks for little girls. The reason I'm writing is to offer you an amazing opportunity. We would love to cook for you and your family at your home, or you're most welcome to come to my house if you prefer. It would be such an honor to make you a meal. We don't think you get many home-cooked meals since you are always so busy, and we read that you only sleep 4 hours a night. Please, please call us and let us cook for you. Love, Natalie. P.S. Our Pop says that you are doing a great job. Thank you for keeping us safe." Natalie, I'm happy to tell you that I talked to the President about your letter this morning, and he and the First Lady would like to take you up on your very kind offer. We have an amazing kitchen and culinary staff here at the White House, and the President and First Lady would like for you to come over and work alongside them sometime very soon. He said to tell your Pop and Nona hello, and to tell your mother congratulations for raising such a brave and talented little girl. Most importantly, he said to tell you to always believe in yourself and know that in America you can achieve anything through hard work, determination, and perseverance. And sometimes you just have to take a chance and put yourself out there. That's exactly what you did with your letter, and we're excited to meet you in person soon. And with that, I will take your questions.
Senator, on the President's shutdown comments a few minutes ago, a few weeks ago he said that a shutdown would be devastating to the military. Does he now feel that a shutdown would be worth it even if members of the U.S. military were negatively impacted?
Look, the only people that have caused a shutdown are the Democrats who have repeatedly held the government hostage over their own politics. Democrats actually shut the government down. Let's not forget that just a couple weeks ago. The president isn't looking for this, but if the Democrat Party is going to continue to threaten a shutdown because they won't include responsible immigration reforms, including fixing MS-13 loopholes and other issues, then the president welcomes that fight. It's a fight we won last time, and it's one we're very confident that we would win again. But let me repeat, our goal is to get a 2-year budget deal and to also get a deal on immigration, which we have laid out. The president has generously laid out a plan that addresses both Republicans and Democrats' concerns, and we're hopeful we'll come to an agreement on both of those fronts.
But isn't the president encouraging a shutdown here?
The president's encouraging people to do their jobs. The president's encouraging them to get a deal on the budget, as he's laid out, a 2-year, a long-term budget deal that actually helps our military instead of doing these short-term deals. That's what he's advocated for all along. And the president is encouraging them to do their jobs and come to an agreement on immigration, particularly the 4 places that he's outlined that have to happen in any piece of legislation.
Hey, quick, Sarah. Can you then clarify, would the president rather see a shutdown or a short-term spending fix this week?
Look, again, we are not advocating for the shutdown. That's the fault of the Democrats not being willing to do their jobs. The president wants a long-term deal, and he wants to get a deal on immigration. And we hope that Democrats will come to the table and get those things done.
And then I'm hoping you can clarify one other thing. Chief of Staff John Kelly said today that some Dreamers were, quote, too lazy to get off their asses to register for DACA protections. Is that the position of this White House, that dreamers are lazy? Who thinks this?
The position of the White House is that we want to fix a problem that was created by the previous administration. We have a system that is not lawful. We have a system that has a lot of legal loopholes and has a very large national security concern. We want to address it completely. We want to solve the problem on DACA. And we want to solve the border security issue. We want to end chain migration. We want to end the visa lottery system. What we don't want to do is continue kicking the can down the road. We're focused on actually getting a solution. And frankly, I think if anybody's lazy, it's probably Democrats who aren't showing up to work and aren't actually getting to the table to make a deal on this.
Sarah, what did the president make of the stock market's volatility yesterday and today? And does he have any regrets about taking responsibility or credit for the stock market's rise?
Look, the economy is incredibly strong right now. The president's focus continues to be on the long-term economic fundamentals, which, like I just said, are very strong in this country. We're infinitely better off today than where we were before the president took office, particularly on the economy. We have historically low unemployment, and we actually have increasing wages for American workers. There's nothing that's taken place over the last couple of days in our economy that's fundamentally different than it was 2 weeks ago, and we're very comfortable with where we are right now.
Does he have any second thoughts about taking credit for it when the stock market goes up?
Does the president have second thoughts about taking credit for a booming economy? Absolutely not. Jordan.
Thanks, Sarah. As the president had a chance to review the memo from the Democrats on the House Intelligence Committee, and is he inclined to release it?
The president has seen the memo. He met with the Deputy Attorney General, Rod Rosenstein, within the last hour to discuss some of the differences between the two memos. And we are undergoing the exact same process that we did with the previous memo, in which it will go through a full and thorough legal and national security review. We're in the middle of that process. When that's completed, the president will be given a thorough briefing on the findings of the different organizations and stakeholders that are involved, and we'll make a determination at that time.
The review concluded last time. The president had made it clear to lawmakers that he was inclined to release the Republican memo. Has he made any kind of similar comments to you guys about the Democratic memo?
The president made the comment that we're going to go through the same process that we went through the first time, and that'll take several days to complete as it did the first time, and we'll make a determination at that point. John?
Thanks a lot, Sarah. The president on the Republican memo says that it completely vindicates him. And this weekend we heard from Trey Gowdy, who is on the Intelligence Committee, who had a large part in writing that memo. In what way does the president believe that the Republican memo vindicates him?
Look, the president has consistently called the Russia investigation politically motivated witch hunt for the last year, and the memo clearly vindicates the president's position that there was political bias in this process. It's pretty simple. Adrian?
Sarah, I would think it's fair to say that many members of the Senate, including Mitch McConnell and Chuck Schumer, were surprised by the president's comments, so I'd like to see if I can figure out exactly what he was driving at. Is the president saying that unless there's an immigration compromise that he is satisfied with, he will not sign the emerging budget compromise on a 2-year budget deal that McConnell and Schumer are working out? Or will he deal with that separately from the budget talks that are going now, and both of those are making substantial progress?
As I've said, we want a 2-year budget deal. We'll see what this looks like. We certainly are supportive of Republicans and Democrats coming to a deal. We also want a deal on immigration.
They have to be together.
They're not mutually exclusive. The president wants to get a deal on both of those.
Will he sign a
fronts.
budget deal that does not include immigration policy reforms?
I don't think that we expect the budget deal to include specifics on the immigration reform, but we want to get a deal on that. As we've said, we don't want to hold the government hostage over these items.
So,
Kristen.
can I ask one other thing about, Senator Flake said something on the Senate floor just a minute ago. I want to give you a chance to respond. He said, and I quote,
Sure, this will be eventful.
I have seen the president's most ardent defenders use the now weary argument that the president's comments were meant as a joke, just sarcasm, only tongue-in-cheek. But treason is not a punchline. Can you say for the sake of the future that you agree with Senator Flake on that treason or treasonous is not a punchline, is not a joking matter?
Look, honestly, I'm not going to respond directly to Senator Flake's comments. I don't really care what Senator Flake has to say. I don't think his constituents do either, and I think that's why his numbers are in the tank. The president was clearly joking with his comments, but what isn't a joke is that Democrats refuse to celebrate the accomplishments of last year that has helped all Americans. What I don't understand, and what I don't think the country understands, is why Democrats are so upset about lower taxes and higher wages. That's something that every American should be celebrating, not crying about, not sitting on their hands for. Democrats are going to have to make a decision at some point really soon. Do they hate this president more than they love this country? And I hope the answer to that is no.
Sarah, I want to ask you a question about.
I'll come back to you, sorry,
Thanks,
Stephen.
Sarah. I want to ask you a question about stocks. On the positive economic news, there is a school of thought among economists that given the current growth in the economy, to inject the economy with stimulus in the tax cuts could actually spark inflation. So, which means that as people have more money to spend, prices necessarily go up, and the prices that people pay go up, and that's not a good thing. So how keenly focused is this president on inflation fears? And ahead of next month's Fed meeting, has the president spoken to Chairman Powell about whether he thinks interest rates should go up or not?
Look, our team is in close contact with all of the stakeholders in this process, but as I said before, the president's focus is on our long-term economic fundamentals, and we're going to continue to be focused on that on all assets.
Any thought on interest rates one way or the other?
Nothing specific to announce at this time.
Sarah, as it related to the Republican memo, the president and this White House argued it was important to release it for the sake of transparency. So therefore, can the American people expect to see the Democratic memo in the sake of transparency?
I think the American people can expect this memo to go through the exact same process that the Republican memo went through, which involves bringing all of the stakeholders from a legal and a national security perspective to weigh in before making a determination. We're in the middle of that process, and I'm not going to get
Determination prior to releasing the Republican memo, so why not the same?
We didn't
adherence
release
to
the memo prior
transparency
to that
and
review
He said
process being
100%.
complete.
He said
We
100%
didn't release
we're
the
gonna
memo
release it.
prior to the review process being complete, and we're not going to do that this time.
Question about John Kelly and his comments, calling dreamers, indicating some of them are lazy. Does that type of rhetoric help get a bipartisan deal done?
Look, like I said, the president and the administration were focused on actually solving this problem, not kicking it down the road, and we're going to continue to have those conversations. John?
Sarah, also up at Capitol Hill today, Chief of Staff Kelly said that he didn't think the president would be likely to extend the DACA deadline from March 5th. But twice in Davos, the president said, if we need a little more time, we'll take a little more time on DACA. And then in a gaggle, when asked if he would extend the deadline, he said, yeah, I might do that, not guaranteeing it, but I certainly have the right to do that if I want. So which is it? Is he still open to the idea of extending the deadline?
Certainly
or is
has
it
the
closed?
right to do so. Again, we're hopeful that we're going to get to a deal. We've laid out a very generous offer that meets all of the demands that the Democrats have. In fact, it goes above and beyond what they asked for. And it includes mostly everything else that is part of the pillars that we have laid out are things that Democrats have voted for. Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, all of these individuals have voted for the majority of the priorities that we've laid out in this legislation in the past, except we've actually gone further on the DACA component than Obama ever offered. And so the fact that we can't get to a deal, that's a question, frankly, that Democrats should be asked. Like, what are you not supportive of in this legislation, and why are we not moving the ball forward and actually solving the
Can
problem?
you clarify,
Jennifer?
is he open to extending the deadline, or has that door closed?
Look, I'm not going to get ahead of the process. We're still hopeful we're going to get there, but before the deadline hits. Jennifer.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So on North Korea and the vice president, when we've asked in recent days whether the vice president, we've asked Secretary Tillerson and the vice president and himself whether he would be interested in meeting with North Korean officials while he's traveling in South Korea for the Olympics, and they both have said, we'll see. Is the administration trying to signal some interest in talks with North Korean officials, or what is that about?
I don't have any more announcements other than we'll see. I'm going to echo the Vice President and the Secretary of State. I'm certainly not going to get ahead of either of them.
Administration rule out that the vice president will speak with North Koreans? While
I think
he's
the
there?
answer remains the same. We'll see. Jim?
Can I get back to the Chief of Staff saying that some of the dreamers may just have been too lazy to get off their asses? Just on the face of it, isn't that just a wildly offensive comment about these undocumented immigrants who are waiting for some kind of solution to come out of the city?
Look, the only person that's actually offered a solution is this administration. The president's been a champion of giving 1.8 million DACA recipients and DACA eligible people a pathway to citizenship, and he's laid out a plan and a solution that actually addresses both Republicans and Democrats' concerns. I think it's hard to argue with that.
On the surface of that, sir,
David?
though, isn't it just it's just an offensive comment, though, isn't it, just on its surface?
I think that's something you would have to decide for yourself. David?
So have the president's lawyers advised him not to testify before Robert Mueller?
Look, as we've said many times before, this is something that would be determined by the Office of the Special Counsel. I'd refer you to a statement from Ty Cobb on that, the professional and active discussions between the Office of Special Counsel and the president's personal lawyers regarding how and under what terms information will be exchanged are understandably private. Again, I'm not going to go beyond that statement. If you have further questions, I'd refer you to Ty. Take one last question. April?
On the economy and the shutdown, how is a shutdown that the president wants to basically show Democrats that they're wrong, how is a shutdown going to help the economy and help those who this administration is saying they want to lift out of the situation that they're in?
The president wants solutions. He wants to get a 2-year budget deal. He wants to get a deal on immigration. It's pretty simple.
Okay, and on the next piece, you said treasonous was a joke. But what about un-American? In Washington, over the years with the State of the Union, one side, be it if it's a Democratic president, the Republicans sit. If it's a Democratic president, well, whatever, you get it. If it's a Democratic president, the Republicans sit. If it's a Republican president, the Democrats sit. What is so un-American about this year, after this has been going on for all of these years?
I think it's un-American not to be excited about the fact that more people in this country have jobs than they did before, the fact that more people in this country have higher wages than they did before, the fact that the economy is booming like it wasn't before, the fact that ISIS is being crushed like it wasn't before. These are things that I don't care what party you're from, these are things that every American should be excited about and be able to celebrate.
Unemployment rate, but he was specifically at that moment when he was in Cincinnati talking about the black unemployment rate.
And that's something everybody should be excited about.
From 6.8
But it's
to
lower than it was,
7.7%.
guys. It's progress.
But it's still
We should
high.
be excited about the fact that
high.
we're making progress.
But it's
That
still
things are better today than they were a year ago. That is something that we should be excited about. That is something that we should be celebrating. It's not perfect. He didn't say it was perfect. He said we've made progress. He said things are better. The fact that any time the day before Americans' lives are improving, that's a good thing that we should all be excited about, that we should all celebrate. Take one last question, John.
What's un-American about
Thank you,
disagreeing?
Sarah. Quick question. There have been numerous published reports that Dave Bowditch, number 3 in the FBI, will be moved up to be deputy director under Director Wray. He received both his present appointment and his previous position as head of the Los Angeles office of the FBI under former Director Comey. Given the administration's almost contumacious criticism of Mr. Comey, is there going to be any objection to Mr. Bowditch moving up to the number 2 spot under Director Wray?
Look, I don't have any personnel announcements on that front, but you definitely win the award for best and biggest word used in the briefing. Thanks, guys.